If you suffer a heart attack, the damaged cardiac muscle heals with stiff, permanent scar tissue. But the liver plays by different rules. You can lose 70% of its mass, and the remaining cells completely regrow the missing tissue. That intense healing capacity makes sense when you consider its workload. Every single second, the liver performs over 500 distinct metabolic functions. Yet, despite possessing this Wolverine-like biological advantage, the liver is at the center of one of the fastest-growing global health crises. To understand why it fails, we have to look at how it operates. Weighing in at roughly 3 to 4 pounds, the liver is a massive structure dominating the upper right corner of the abdomen. It runs on a highly unusual dual blood supply, receiving its intake from 2 completely separate pipelines. Here, the hepatic artery branches from the aorta, pumping high-pressure, oxygen-rich blood to the liver. Alongside it, the thicker portal vein delivers low-pressure blood from the stomach and intestines, packed with nutrients, medications, and toxins. Because the portal vein dumps the entire output of the digestive tract here first, the liver acts as a mandatory biological checkpoint. Every single thing we consume has to clear this barrier before reaching the rest of the body. The clearance process happens at the microscopic level, inside the liver's core functional unit, the lobule. In this cross-section, lobules are shaped like hexagons. Blood vessels sit at the outer corners, the portal triads, with a central vein anchoring the middle. Blood is forced inward, squeezing through narrow radial canals called sinusoids to reach the central vein. Lining these canals is a specialized immune security force called Kupffer cells, which physically swallow up passing bacteria and cellular debris. The real heavy lifting is done by the liver cells themselves, the hepatocytes. They pull fat-soluble toxins out of the bloodstream, encase them in a new molecular shell, and excrete them as water-soluble waste. While they process the blood, these same hepatocytes manufacture bile, which flows in the exact opposite direction, away from the center, heading out to the digestive tract to break down fats. This intricate geometric maze forces the blood to slow down, maximizing contact time with liver cells to ensure no toxic compounds slip through unprocessed. Acting as a human shield keeps the rest of our organs safe, but leaves the liver exposed. When subjected to chronic, heavy loads of alcohol, processed fats, or synthetic medications, the system gets overwhelmed. The first stage of failure is fatty liver disease. Overworked hepatocytes can't process the incoming volume, so they begin storing excess inputs as large lipid droplets, causing the cells themselves to swell up and become sluggish. If that chemical bombardment continues, chronic inflammation sets in. The swollen hepatocytes die off. The body attempts to patch the damage with stiff collagen scar tissue, a condition known as cirrhosis. That scar tissue physically destroys the delicate hexagonal architecture of the lobules. Thick, irregular bands warp the structure, strangling the sinusoids and blocking blood flow completely. The very mandate of the organ, to absorb and neutralize threats meant for the rest of the body, is what drives its own structural destruction. The liver does have a final line of defense. As long as that underlying lobule architecture hasn't been completely crushed by cirrhosis, it can heal. Through a process called compensatory replication, surviving healthy hepatocytes rapidly divide and multiply, expanding to replace the dead tissue and restore lost organ mass. But there is a hard physical limit to this capability. Regeneration requires the liver's microscaffolding to guide the new growth. Once stiff scar tissue replaces that delicate scaffolding, the cells have nowhere to grow, and organ failure becomes permanent. The liver's ability to regrow is a short-term survival mechanism designed for acute, isolated injuries. It cannot provide endless protection against decades of chronic, daily toxic abuse. Maintaining our body's chemical balance requires the liver to perform its 500-plus jobs constantly, 24 hours a day without a break. We can ease the heavy burden on the portal vein by moderating alcohol intake, limiting unnecessary medications, and reducing the volume of dietary fats and sugars we consume. Choosing what we consume with care safeguards the body's mandatory checkpoint, the biological filter that keeps every other system in our body alive.